Hey, welcome to our first full vlog for Bogota. By no means is this a full and complete guide. It's just our first day there and the beginning of our adventure. In today's vlog, we'll share practical tips on how to navigate Bogota, no matter where you're staying. Then we'll take you straight into the heart of the city, at Bolívar Square, a place that carries deep meaning for locals. Along the way, we'll introduce you to a Colombian artist with a style you'll instantly recognize. And be sure to stick around for food, since it plays such an important role here. From a famous must-try restaurant to a cozy coffee shop with incredible treats. And as the series continues, we'll share our experience from indoor markets, outdoor markets, more food, and incredible views such as the one from Monserrate. So be sure to subscribe and buckle up because we're just getting started. There are so many great places to stay in Bogota. We decided to stay at the Fairfield Marriott near the embassy because I got a great deal with my points. We plan to make a separate video to elaborate the pros and cons of staying so far from the city center. So be sure to stay tuned as this series unfolds. The trade-off with this hotel is the distance to the city center. For us, it meant that we needed to get a ride downtown every single day. And while planning this trip, we received valuable advice from our friend Andrea, who grew up in Bogota. She confirmed that calling Ubers was the best way to navigate the city. According to her, it's the safest and cheapest option. And that was true at the time of this recording. I've noticed that each city has its Uber quirks. Here's what I noticed different in Bogota. Selecting the cheapest Uber option means you'll probably get a 15-year-old car picking you up. And we were totally fine with that. Also, if the price is too cheap, the local drivers may decline the ride, which means that Uber will come back to you with a recommendation to increase the price. We've since noticed new options like priority, higher price but quicker pickups. And there's also a wait and save option if you're not in a rush. Choosing the starting point in any new and foreign city can be daunting. In Bogota, you have a few options depending on which neighborhood you're planning to discover. Near the Candelaria, we recommend starting at the Bolívar Square for a few reasons. Number one, it's very spacious, so you won't feel crowded right off the bat. Number two, there are many tourists and locals there, which adds to the safety and comfort level. And number three, it's a central location with many things to see and do in the radius. The Bolívar Square is one of the most important places in Colombia. It's named after Simón Bolívar, who played a key role in liberating the country from Spanish rule. For Colombians, this square represents freedom and the beginning of their independence, which is why so many important buildings surround it. From a photographer's standpoint, this is a very cinematic part of the city. Even on a cloudy day, it didn't disappoint. Mind you, we did return on a separate occasion during the golden hour. And that really enhanced our view and perspective of this square. If you're the kind of traveler who likes a deeper explanation of the buildings and the history, then we highly recommend that you get a tour through GetYourGuide. We booked one and were paired with Liz. She gave us great context about the architecture and the role this plays in Colombian history. I'll leave a QR code on the screen for you to scan, and we'll also leave the link in the video's description. We're not eating just yet, but stay tuned because we're gonna get to the delicacies of this region real soon. Satisfied with our videos and photos, we ventured slightly away from the square. Then we found some merchants lined up along a connecting street. They invited us to check out some of their local souvenirs. Everything looked fine, but from experience, we have a better location to indicate for souvenirs. A few days after this recording, Ellie and I checked out the outdoor Yuzaken market. That one's located west of the Candelaria. If you love markets, we highly recommend that you peg this place on your to-do list. And if you want to know more about Uzeken, you can subscribe and hit the notification. Since we're planning to prepare a vlog showcasing that outdoor market, we'll show you souvenirs you can find there, traditional food, and so much more. Less than a block away, we arrived near this museum. It's called the Money Museum. Stay tuned because it also has interesting expositions inside. There were 2 guards stationed at the front and Ellie went to inquire. Turns out it was free to visit. As I recall, photography and film were permitted, but just without the use of flash. Inside was vast and huge. We navigated from one room to the next. There were inner courtyards, with a nice garden as well. There was so much to see inside, and like a typical museum, we could have easily spent 3 to 4 hours there, if we chose to carefully inspect each artifact and station. Then we got initiated to Botero's artwork, and I immediately made the link, having seen a similar statue on the way into the city. These oversized figures are by Fernando Botero, one of Colombia's most famous artists. His exaggerated style made his work instantly recognizable worldwide. And once you've seen it, you'll never forget it. And this too was part of the museum. Really cool. We left the museum with food on our mind. On our way to La Puerta Falsa, Ellie and I noticed this kind of train wagon parked on the street. Strucken with curiosity, she interacted with them and started asking what it was all about. The best way to describe it is kind of like a play on wheels. The wagon drives around various parts of the city center, while the actors play out Bogota's history. Ellie was sold, but they would only take cash as a payment. Before arriving in Colombia, we tried to get pesos in Brazil, but they didn't have any. Upon arriving in Bogota, we could have tried to get some from the airport, but historically it's probably one of the worst exchange rates. On the way to the restaurant, I kept my eyes open for an ATM. But with no banks in sight, we decided to split up. Ellie stayed in line at La Puerta Falsa, while I ventured on. In hindsight, that was a really smart idea, because while waiting in line, Ellie started talking with the group next to her. The group comprised of a Bogota native and a few first-time visitors. This proved to be fruitful, because the locals gave Ellie insights on which types of dishes were worth ordering. Meanwhile, I was making my own discoveries. Right around the corner was La Sétima, one of Bogota's main streets. And it's a great place to experience the city on foot. Walking along this street really gives you a feel for Bogota. It's busy, cultural, and very alive. Right now I need to find an ATM, but if you stick around this series, we'll be showing you more of La Sétima. An important tip for taking out money in Bogota is to avoid street ATMs. Contrarily, try to find indoor banks or ATMs if you can. I recall walking up and down a few blocks with none in sight. And by pure luck, I ventured inside a market, which had an ATM on the second level. I used my Tangerine account from back home, and I was able to take out some cash. Why Tangerine? Well, it's one of the best overall options, since there are no foreign transaction fees. And they used a MasterCard exchange rate, which is very competitive. It's widely accepted at ATMs in Colombia, Plus, it's a virtual bank and easy to apply. If you don't already have one, then let's make a deal. Tangerine still has what they call the Orange Key Referral Program. If one of you open a new account using my Orange Key, we'll both earn $50 bonus once the account is open and has a minimal balance for a couple of months. Then we can cheers to each other. It's an ongoing offer, but spots are limited each year. So if you like the sounds of that, then why not open an account sooner rather than later? With cash in hand, I headed back to the restaurant to find Ellie. Can you believe she was still in line waiting to get in? But moments later, they came out to get us. They sent us upstairs and gave us a few options. At first glance, we noticed it was really small inside, almost diner style. But it felt cozy, rustic, and very local. That's exactly where you want to be to soak in tradition. With the help of the Bogota native, our minds were made up. We ordered the ajiaco soup, the tamales, and sausage. Oh, plus a local beer and a juice to share. When the food arrived, we wondered if we bit off more than we could chew. Pun intended. Everything was so delicious, but there was a clear winner. The ajiaco soup was to die for. Wow, flavorful and comforting. And truly unique in the soup category. We also enjoyed the bone-in chicken tamale. And the sausage, although good, was on the dry side. We recommend La Puerta Falsa if you're looking for a traditional experience. Heads up, the counter wasn't the most comfortable seating space. So with that in mind, you can ask them for a table if you'd like. Although they may ask you to wait a little bit longer for a spot to free up. Besides the comfort, we also felt it challenging to eat the chicken with plastic utensils. But that won't prevent us from returning. Now with our bellies full, we were ready to sit back and relax. Which was great because we had that train ride that was waiting for us. Being one of the first to arrive, we paid our tickets and grabbed our front row seats. This tour is great on so many fronts. For starters, it allows you to see the streets in this part of Bogota. And you really get to feel the energy. As my friend Eddie once told me, a tour in any new city is the best way to get acquainted. Be it a bus or walking tour, or a train in this case. That's because you're able to peg various spots that you'd like to return later. And it's especially great for people who aren't staying long in the respective cities, because then you'll get to see more of the city. This tour was exactly what we expected, and more. Great views, the show was really entertaining and informative. And overall, it saved us over an hour of walking time, if not more. A bit of a transparent clause. The downside was going around downtown in rush hour traffic, which left us stuck a good portion of the time. But we weren't in a rush. Plus, more time for picture taking.
Pueblo de Santa Fe, pueblo indolente, cuán distinta sería vuestra suerte si conocieras el precio de la libertad.
The tour wrapped up around 6 o'clock, and they dropped us off at the original starting point. By this time, we could really feel this part of town emptying, which is when we found a quaint coffee shop 5 minutes away. We each ordered a coffee and shared a dessert, as we discussed and highlighted some of our discoveries today. Everything about this Robusto coffee place felt right. The exterior facade, the French-style windows, and the interior decor. Plus, the coffees and dessert were tasty. Overall, it was a great find. And Google Maps will also vouch for that with a 4.8 rating. With our overall time in Bogota, we noticed there were many cafes and dessert shops in the area. This one ranked high for us because it didn't feel touristy. So you're free to add it to your list if you like. We stayed until closing time, ordered our Uber, and headed back to our hotel. For our first day in Bogota, what really surprised us was how approachable the city felt once we slowed down. Taking the Uber, walking, and letting things unfold naturally. We didn't try to see everything all at once, and that actually made the experience much better. And if you're planning a trip to Bogota, this is exactly how we'd recommend starting. And if you're just planning a quick pass through Bogota, then have a look at our Get Your Guide activities that we recommend. We'll leave them in the description below. And that was just the beginning of our time in Bogota. In our next vlog, as we grow more comfortable with the city, Bogota takes on a completely new energy. We'll be zipping through narrow passageways, discovering local markets, as well as bold flavors, and discover a different side of Bogota that we didn't expect. So, if you enjoyed this video, then a thumbs up would really help us out. Feel free to subscribe and hit that notification bell, because like I said, we're just getting started. Ciao, Discovers!